Hey everybody, Trent of the Trenternet here, and we're back with another tier video. So you might be surprised I'm doing a tier video as opposed to a Why Tekken 8 Season 2 is Garbage video. And to tell you the truth, I have attempted at least twice to make videos about why Season 2 is garbage, but I just didn't do it. And a lot of the reason for that is because there are at least 1,000 videos released today in the last hour to tell you that Season 2 is trash. And I actually called this out. I had a video a couple months back called Tekken 8 is heading in the wrong direction. And the responses to that video were not positive, to say the least. I was kind of surprised, actually. But whatever. I was right. And because I'm right, I'm going to do a video about that next DLC character. Because everybody knows Season 2 is trash. But I wanted to talk about the characters that could potentially be coming. Because in addition to that May emergency patch number 2 that everyone is hoping saves the game, I think this next DLC character is going to do a lot to make or break Tekken 8. A really solid pick here, alongside a good May patch, could do this game a lot of good and maybe potentially steer it back in the right direction if it's not just completely lost. But a bad character pick could just deflate the community and make everybody be continually angry. So as you know, we got 3 more characters left in Season 2. 2 returning characters and 1 original character, which is presumably the 4th character. They said that the color on the DLC reveal panel was a hint as to who these characters were. But I mean, that's so generic. I don't know how you could figure out much from that, except for some super obvious things. Like, for example, Kunimitsu had purple hair, therefore the purple slot might be her. Could be. I don't know. Could be. Could be Azazel. Azazel was always purple. He could be a playable Azazel. But anyway, I thought it would be fun to go back and kind of redo my guessing video and just kind of guess about who this next DLC character would be. And so our tiers this time are very real possibility, wouldn't be surprised, less likely, no chance, and 4th slot. And that's for characters that I think might be a possibility but may show up in the next slot. And actually, I think they'd actually be 3rd slot because the 4th is the new character. So let's fix that right quick. Okay, there we go. So 3rd slot. As you all know, we've got our first DLC character already in Anna Williams. And then the next 2 are returning characters, and the 4th is the newcomer. So anyway, let's get right to it. So let's just start right off the bat with Akuma. I'm putting him in no chance. There's a lot of people out there who think Akuma's got a real shot because of comments that Harada has made and Michael Murray has kind of made talking about Akuma. I just don't see it happening. I just don't think they would do this. The Akuma crossover was Tekken 7's thing. I don't think they would do this here. And plus, I think calling Akuma a returning Tekken character would just cause a lot more angst. Then again, Namco just keeps taking L's lately, so maybe they would be dumb enough to do something like that, but I don't think so. I'm going to put Alex along with Roger, if I can find Roger/Roger Jr. right here, as less likely. One of those slots is blue, if I remember correctly, one of the new DLC slots. So I suppose that's a possibility, but I don't know. In fact, let me go pull it up. I'm going to go pull it up right now. So the summer character is kind of a dark blue, and then the next returning character is kind of a pinkish purple. So a lot of people have said that this blue could represent the boxing gloves of Roger and or Alex. And there was that DLC leak on 4chan before the game came out that had this new Zhao Feng character and Alex, in addition to some other characters. If I remember correctly, that leak had Eddie Gordo as one of the choices, who ended up being true, but it had these other characters who were just kind of out of left field. And most people thought that was fake. But who knows? I think it would be fun if Roger and Alex did show up, and they do have blue boxing gloves. But I just think it's less likely. I think for whatever reason, they've kind of just decided that Roger and Alex are too much of joke characters to be in the game, despite Kuma and Panda still being a thing. So I don't know. I just don't think it's going to happen. Ogre, I'm going to put as less likely. I just think Ogre is being held back for some sort of story expansion or Tekken 9. He's just way too important to the story to show up as DLC. If you notice, most of the DLC characters have had character bios that place them in relevance in the Tekken 8 story. It was the same for Tekken 7. All the new characters got bios. They just didn't have endings. So I just don't know that we would see Ogre come back because you'd have to give him a bio and make him canonically part of Tekken 8, which I don't think they want to do. Angel, I'm going to say no chance because Angel's essentially a Mishima. You got Angel Jin in the story mode. Just don't see Angel happening. Of course, Anna is the DLC. I'm going to put Armor King at very real possibility. Armor King remains a fan favorite. His colors have been darker blues and purples in the past, so I think he very well could be that next slot. He's just not as associated with as much blue as I would like to feel 100% confident. But hey, it could be Armor King. He's very popular. Namco are very incompetent when it comes to their marketing and things. So I think it's very possible that they could release, some character that had some loose affiliation with the color blue for some crazy reason. And they could say, oh, this is what we meant all along. There's just no way to really get into their head. Asuka's in the game, Azucena. Baekdo-san, I'm going to put no chance because I just don't see him coming back and usurping Hwoarang's place. There was some exchange on Twitter a few weeks ago, where Harada was talking about he wanted a female Taekwondo practitioner. So I don't think Baek's going to show up unless this is some sort of extreme misdirection on his part. Bob Richards, I'm going to put under wouldn't be surprised. I hope we never see this guy again. He's one of the lamest characters in Tekken ever. I've always hated this character. I just think, though, that Namco likes him, and Namco just kind of believes that this is a character people would want to see for DLC. And maybe I'm alone in this. Maybe people really like Bob. I do not. I think he would be a really boring pick, though. I think if you're going to go with Bob, he needs to be like a Season 3 or 4 character. You don't need to release him on Season 2 when the game is floundering. But at this point, I'm sure those decisions were made a long time ago, so it may be too late. We may be getting a Bob reveal, and everybody's disappointed. Bruce Irving, I'm also going to put under wouldn't be surprised. At the same time, I'm debating putting him here just because Namco seems to have forgotten Bruce, even though a lot of people really like him. If I remember correctly, he had some wallpaper in Tekken 5 DR on the PSP, which had a blue background. So I think Bruce is, a very, very strong possibility that he could be released. But I would not be surprised if it was Bruce. Boring Fury, we can put it already in the game. Christy Montiero, no chance because they're already selling Eddie Gordo. They're not going to sell you 2 capos. You got Claudio already in the game. Clive, unfortunately, already in the game. No chance for Combat. He's just Mokujin. They're not going to sell you random select. This guy's in the game. Devil Kazumi, I think less likely, and I would put regular Kazumi there as well. They brought Heihachi back after he was supposed to be dead. I suppose they could put Kazumi in the game as some sort of weird flashback thing. But I think what stops her from appearing is a lot of what's stopping Ogre from coming back. They would have to find a way to make her relevant to the Tekken 8 plot. And I just don't think they want to do that this far into Tekken 8 as a game. Devil Kazuya is technically already in the game, though he's not playable. Dr. B, I'm going to say no chance at all. Tekken 8 is about being as beginner-friendly and easy mode as possible. This was a low-tier character that was very difficult to play, so there's no way they're going to put Dr. B in the game and make you pay for him. These guys already in the game. Eliza, I think, is less likely. She is a Tekken character, so she could qualify as an existing Tekken character. But at the same time, I just don't think they will put her in this game. Again, this is a game about mindless aggression and super simplification. The 2D characters in Tekken were always controversial. They always had balancing problems, shall we say. So I don't know that that's kind of the direction that they want to go in Tekken 8. Fakum Ram, I think, unfortunately, is a very real possibility. I know Michael Murray's a fan of this guy. The dev team doesn't seem to have given up on this guy. There was some pre-release data leaks which showed like Muay Thai and that sort of thing in the game's files. So who knows? It's very possible that a lot of these characters they had potentially ready or were kicking around and didn't get them finished, and they're going to bring them back into the game. So unfortunately, I think Fakam Ram's a very real possibility. This guy's already there. Forest Law, no chance. They're not going to sell you Forest Law. Even Namco's not that bad. Ganryu, I think, is at the very top of less likely. He had an abysmal pick rate in Tekken 7, despite being very strong. He's an old Tekken 1 and 2 sub-boss character. I don't think he would come back. This is kind of one of those characters that if it's this guy, Tekken 8's over. Like, it's just over. They're just completely, even more so than they are now, creatively bankrupt. Geese, I'm going to put at no chance. I just don't think we're going to see an SNK character. I think down the line we could see an SNK guest character, kind of like Geese, but I don't think we're going to see him back again. And for the same reason as Eliza and Akuma, just too much 2D and too much guest character. Gigas, I'm going to put at the very bottom of less likely. I don't think we see Gigas for a long time, especially because he's tied to Katarina. We're just not going to see this guy. He was very low pick rate, very low tier in Tekken 7. What reason would we have to bring Gigas into Tekken 8, especially because we don't have Katarina? Gon, as much as you all would love it, no, Gon is not coming back. He's a crossover character, guest character from Tekken 3. Very gimmicky, hard to use character. They're not going to bring this guy back. Heihachi's in the game. Horong, Jack. Julia Chong as JC. I'm going to put I'm going to put less likely. And then we're going to take, where the heck is regular Julia? Yeah, let's put regular Julia. A very real possibility. There's been a lot of DLC rehash in Tekken 8. We've gotten Lydia. We've gotten Heihachi, who was in the previous game. We got Eddie Gordo, who was a late addition to the console of the previous game. There's just a lot of... We got Anna Williams, who was a Tekken 7 DLC character, also in Season 2 of Tekken 7, if I remember correctly. So I think it's very possible we see Julia Chang once again for sale in this game. You know, I think she would fit into that blue slot. I don't know why, but she just strikes me as blue. Jinpachi, I'm going to put up here under less likely, just for the same reason like Ogre and Kasumi. Too much storyline baggage for him to appear. I'm not saying they can't. That's why it's less likely, but probably not. Jose Rizal, I'm going to say wouldn't be surprised. This is a character from 7 that had kind of good reception and kind of mixed reception. The whole Crybaby angle, a lot of people didn't like. She has no story relevance whatsoever. She just kind of existed in Tekken 7. But the dev team seemed to really like her. And if I remember correctly, she did have the color blue in some of her artwork, maybe? So I don't know. This is, you know, it's kind of like Bob and Josie are two characters that I feel would be very bad picks for the community and the game at this point. They're not going to wow anybody. Bruce would wow, but I just don't think they'll do it, unfortunately. So I got to put Bruce above these two guys here. Jun Kazama's already here. Katarina, maybe just above. I don't know, because let's put her by Gigas. Let's put her by Daddy. I don't think. These two are kind of a set storyline-wise. I guess you could go with the angle that, like, Katarina figured out the truth about Gigas or whatever, and now she's in the tournament to prove her strength or something like that. But I just don't know if they would do that. Katarina is a very beginner-friendly character, so, I mean, she would be great for Tekken 8, I think. She already was doing, 444 and all that other stuff before it was cool. In the game, we got Kazuya, we got King, we got Kuma. Kunimitsu 1, I'm going to say no chance. Martial Law is the only successor to have come back and usurped his... or Martial Law is the only predecessor, I should say, that has usurped his successor's role He bumped Forest Law and came back for Tekken 4. I just don't think the OG Kuni will come back. I do think that Kunimitsu could very possibly be that third slot just because it's purple and her whole motif is purple. Like everything about her, like even her outfit's purple, everything, her key, all of it's purple. So I could see her being a very real possibility for that next slot. I would love if she was the next one, but unfortunately I just think she's going to be the winter DLC or the fall DLC, whatever it is. And if we don't see her then, we'll probably see her in 3 or 4, assuming the game lasts that long. Lars is in the game. Law's already in the game. Lee is in the game. He needs help, but he's in the game. I'm going to put Lei Wulong under less likely. There's a lot of people that think he would never show up just because of how complex he is. But I do think there's a possibility that this guy could come back. I just think it's less likely. Surely they wouldn't sell him right after Anna exactly like they did in Season 2 of Tekken 7. Nothing Namco does would surprise me at this point, but hopefully they wouldn't do that. Leo is already in the game. Leroy. Lydia, unfortunately, already in the game. Lily. Lucky freaking Chloe. Part of me wants to put her here. I think they're going to stay away from Lucky Chloe. No storyline relevance. Literally just G-Corp cheerleader. No point to be in the game. Very mixed reaction in 7. Shoutouts to Kaiser. Played the character better than anyone. But I just don't see Lucky Chloe. I don't want to move her up, though. I got a bad feeling that she's like hanging around this tier. So we're going to put Lucky Chloe up there. Marduk, unfortunately, I think is a very real possibility. I think he would fit right in Tekken 8. You know, as another 50-50 stance character. They would probably like to just throw him in there because he seems to really fit the direction of the game. This is a character I hate. I have never liked Marduk. I hated him even more after Tekken 7. He was really annoying to fight against. Master Raven, no chance. They're not going to sell you female Raven. Not going to do that unless she's like some sort of costume later on. Michelle Chang, I'm going to just say less likely. If anybody comes back, it'll be Julia. Nobody remembers who Michelle is, unfortunately. I like Michelle a lot better than Julia, but nobody remembers her. Miguel, I would not be surprised if we saw Miguel. I think he could fit into that blue slot. I don't know why he strikes me as blue, but he just does. I know there's been a handful of people wanting Miguel back in the game. So who knows? They might bring Miguel back and like buff up that stance he has. Miharu, you're not getting Miharu. It's just a Xiaoyu palette swap. You're not getting Mokujin. You're not getting Negan. For the same reason you're not getting other old guest characters. Nina already here. You're not getting Noctis. You've already got Clive, so I don't think you're going to see Noctis. It just doesn't make sense unless this is turning into Final Fantasy Fighter. We got Panda. We got Paul. I don't think Prototype Jack, unfortunately, has a chance for the same reason as like Michelle and Bayek. They're just not going to put 2 Jacks in the game. I may bump him up a little just because if they like seriously reworked Prototype Jack and made him his own character, maybe. But I don't know that they would do that. Namco's not original enough to do that. Already in the game. Rodeo, I'll put it at the very bottom of less likely. This guy could see the light of day. This was a Tekken Mobile exclusive character who was like a football player or something. It would be an interesting moveset at least, but he's just so generic and so relatively unknown. I don't think he is going to sell DLC passes, so they're not going to do this. Sebastian, no chance. He's just a Lily palette swap, already in the game. This is less likely. Sunwoo, Taekwondo girl. Harada would like to add her, but I just don't think that's coming. There's no way he would have openly talked about her that close to them revealing her as DLC. Slim Bob, you're not getting Slim Bob. Well, let's see. Already in the game. You're not getting Tetsujin. That's just not happening. You're not getting Tiger Jackson. That's an Eddie palette swap. True Ogre, we got to put up here with less likely. The only way I could see you getting True Ogre if it was like his rage art or something, or kind of like Kazuya where he went into heat and he turned into True Ogre or something. But that would be really annoying because there would have to be like a screen transition. This game's got enough of them as it is. Maybe that's a reason why they would do it. You're not getting Violet. You can customize Violet in the game. They're not going to do that. Unknown, I think, is less likely, but not completely out of the question. I think maybe later down the line they might do some sort of story expansion involving Jun Kazama, and maybe Unknown shows up there. But it's more likely, I think, she just stays in the Tekken Tag canon. Victor, unfortunately, is already in the game. Wang Jin Ray, I will put at wouldn't be surprised. I think you might see this guy, but I think he's got a long road ahead of him. Like, I think even Bob and Josie would have a chance before him. If I rearrange this, looking at it now, in the wouldn't be surprised tier, I think Miguel's at the top. I think Bob is next. And then you get into picks like these two that would kind of disappoint a large segment of the community. And then these two would excite a couple of niches in the community. But I just think these ones will be more popular. Xiao Yu, Yoshi, Zafina, already in the game. So there you have it. I realize I only put one character into the third slot because we have Anna and then we have our other two. Who are some more candidates for that third slot? So if I had to guess right now for the next slot, I'm going to guess Armor King. That's who I'm going to go with. And I think for that next slot, you could get any one of these. So this is my pick, Armor King. I know it won't be right. It'll be something we didn't expect. But I just do not think you're going to get Kuni, Fakamram, Julia, or Marduk very next. I think you get Armor King. Actually, no. I'm going to change this a little bit. I think the most realistic possibilities are Armor King and or Marduk, just Marduk or Armor King. And then for your third slot, you're going to get one of Kunimitsu, Fakamram, or Julia. That's what I'm going with, guys. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think, what characters you think will come out in the coming weeks. And also, do you think that we'll make it to Season 3? I know the player numbers, there's some conflicting information. They're hanging out at about 5,000 a day on Steam. Some people are saying that's part of the course. Some people are saying game's dying. I don't know that the game is dying per se, but I do know that a lot of the people who are invested but not quite pro level are checked out. I'm fairly checked out right now. But I am interested to see where Tekken as a series goes, because Tekken has always been one of my favorite game series. There's a lot of people out there saying, oh, you don't like it, just quit playing it, do something else. And that's true, you should, but at the same time, I think we got to give people a little patience, right? Because Tekken is a game that means a lot to a lot of people because it's a competitive game, and that's created a lot of communities and friendships and memories throughout the year. So I'm kind of in that boat where I've really quit seriously playing the game for the time being, but I am kind of watching from afar, like hoping that I see it coming back, like the prodigal son. It's coming back to me. Anyway, I've rambled enough, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think and your own takes for the next DLC character. I'm calling it now, Armor King or Marduk, and then the next slot's Kuni, Fak, or Julia Chang. Thanks for watching, guys.